Welcome to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast, a podcast about events, travel, and the people who love both. Find more episodes at vacationraces.com. Hi guys, welcome back to another Vacation Races and Friends podcast. I'm your host and Vacation Races race announcer, Colleen Rue. We're excited to be here with your Zion Half Marathon 2021 race guide. Race season is about to get started. We have Dehn and Anna, the race directors of the 2021 Zion Half Marathon, and we have some exciting things happening this year, and we're just excited to have a race. So Dehn, we're going to jump right in here and tell us about Zion, kind of orient us to where we're going. There's been a few changes from Zion in the past, but it's going to be good this year.
Oh, it's going to be great. I'll start with just a little explanation for why we're doing the course where we're doing it. And then there's 58% of our runners have never been to Zion before. So I'll try and orient you where the race is relative to Zion National Park and where you might be coming from. So
Perfect.
Typically our race runs along SR9, which is a state highway that goes from the town of Hurricane, not Hurricane. Hurricane,
if you're from this area.
That's right, up to Springdale at the mouth of Zion National Park. And this year, with COVID concerns, the town of Springdale, which is a very small community, they're yet to greenlight any events. And so they were concerned about permitting our event. And we want to be good neighbors, and we really appreciate the town of Springdale's support and love the town of Springdale. And so we, instead of pushing that relationship or trying to force something that didn't make sense or was of high concern, we instead just changed our course. The course that we changed it to is by no means like a backup or a fallback plan. Like, this course is spectacular. It's really awesome. It's just very, very different. So instead of being on a highway the whole time, we're now actually going to be on a dirt road and a trail called Wire Mesa.
But can we just stop right here and tell people that the views are probably better on this trail than on the road? If you've run in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's fabulous.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the trails on Highway 9 are obviously beautiful when you're getting closer and closer to Zion. But where we're running up here on the Mesa is you've just got completely unobstructed panoramic views of Zion. Like, a viewpoint that I think is hard to get. You've got Kolob Canyon, which is the northwest corner of Zion National Park. You know, you have to drive up Interstate 15. It's a separate entrance to get up there. You almost don't even know it's there. But on this course, as we drop down to the Mesa, you just have this completely panoramic view where you can see all the way up to Kolob Canyon, the fingers of that canyon, and then all the way from West Temple all the way over to Eagle Crag, which is the far, right corner of Zion, and just it's spread out in front of you, and it's beautiful.
So this ain't no backup view, that's for sure. This is full view Zion. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. So we're going to be on Wire Mesa. Trail, road. What are we looking at?
Yeah, dirt road for the first several miles, and then trail for the last about 7 miles. And Wire Mesa itself, the access to it and where we're going to be staging the race and everything is just in a little town called Apple Valley. So I described Highway 9, which goes from Hurricane up to Springdale. Apple Valley is off of Highway 59, which runs kind of parallel to Highway 9 and runs along the south edge of Zion National Park. And so the Highway 9 and Highway 59 sandwich all of these mesas that we're talking about, really great mountain biking trails and running trails. So that's where we'll be running. To get to Wire Mesa and where all the race festivities are, you're going to come up from Hurricane. So if you're coming from Las Vegas or Salt Lake or anywhere, you're going to get off of I-15 towards Hurricane. And then you're going to take Highway 59, which goes out towards Lake Powell, Grand Canyon, Kanab. And along the way, you pass through a small town of the community of Apple Valley. And in Apple Valley is where our race will be.
And it's absolutely gorgeous. You're going to love it once you get there. Dehn, how about COVID-19 precautions? Of course, we're still, very concerned about that and keeping our runners safe. What can we expect when we get there as far as COVID-19 precautions goes?
So we spent the better part of 2020 actually putting on events. We obviously had to cancel some early in the year, but we were able to work with health departments and county permitting agencies and different agencies to modify our operation plans and implement, protocol and policies that were compliant with the COVID related guidelines. So we've taken what we've learned from last year and applied it to this year, because as much as we'd like to think it's all behind us, like we're obviously still in the midst of this and dealing with it the best we can. So a few procedures and protocols that are being implemented. We've eliminated our vendor expo and bid pickup. So our traditional expo is we've done away with for the time being, and we're going to be doing a drive-through bid pickup. So it's a lot less contact and congregating of people. You'll drive through, and just like a fast food drive-through, you'll come in, get your name, check your ID, and then grab your bib for you, and then you'll drive on to the next tent to pick up your race shirt, so on and so forth. We are requiring people to wear masks when not running. So that's runners and spectators. If you're in the start line queue, or when you cross the finish line and you're around other people, and for sure when you're on the shuttles, we ask you to wear a mask. While running, of course, it's we don't expect you to or require that masks are worn or face coverings are worn while you're participating in the half marathon itself. We've introduced hands-free aid stations. So when you go to get water or gnarly electrolyte drink, there's a foot pedal. And so you step on that foot pedal and it will dispense water or electrolyte drink into your hydro pouch or your hydration pack or your handheld water bottle, whatever you're using. So no need to get your snot covered hands near the nozzle. Which, if you think about it, like the fact that it took a pandemic for us to be like, yeah, let's have people's snot hands not go near the nozzles where everybody is getting water that they're then consuming. Like, seems like it's just a good idea, COVID or no COVID.
I think every runner can kind of cringe a bit thinking of what they have done with their hands prior to going to an aid station. Gosh. Just not good. It's just not good. So this is all good stuff.
Face coverings required, hands-free water stations, copious amounts of hand sanitizer, drive-through bid pickup, and probably the most important change is the staggered start. So our staggered start gives instructions on, based off of your wave, what time you should park, what time you should plan on starting. And we've staggered it in such a way that we'll have lots of small groups of people constantly starting over the course of about an hour. And so that staggered start eliminates congregation at the start line. It thins things out on course, and it, obviously then at the aid stations and then at the finish line. So those are some of the main changes that we've implemented that runners can expect when they come to the race.
And we're going to go through all of this in the next few minutes about how this is going to look in the race circumstance and how you're going to be able to navigate through it. It actually works really easily. Like you said, Dehn, we've done this. We've been doing this all through 2020. And so it's just kind of an extension of what we've already done successfully. So it's going to be great. Anna, jump in here and let's get to Friday. Friday, everybody is going to show up and they're going to get to the drive-through bib pickup. Will you take us through kind of the schedule on Friday and what we can expect at that drive-through bib pickup?
Friday, as Dehn mentioned, we're going to be staging our race in just beyond the bounds of Apple Valley. So it's part of Apple Valley. It's actually a wide open field. If you want to open it up in Google Maps, you can actually search Ruby Rider Ranch and you'll be able to navigate to it. But also in the race guide and on our website, we've got links so that you can put it in your phone and get yourself to the event. And this location is going to be used both days, both Friday and Saturday. So you're going to pick up your bib there. We'll have our drive-through bib pickup all staged and ready for you. And then Saturday morning, you'll also show up to the same location to park and start your race. The start line is right next to your parking area. So it's really convenient.
It's so convenient when you go and you know where you're going the next day, because people get worried about that, but it's going to be really easy with this. So
yep, exactly. So you'll be driving on a dirt road. Just be aware, it's totally accessible. If you've got a rental car, sedan, you'll be fine, but you might need to slow down a little bit just getting there, just due to dust and possible washboards. But yeah, you'll show up and we have got a row of tents lined up for you. Bib pickup's going to run from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. So we've got a large window of time for you to come get your bib, and we'll just direct you to either side of a tent. If you want to picture it like a buffet line, so to speak, you're just going to drive. So you'll stay in your car. We'll have volunteers and workers helping give you your bib, your race shirt, and your hydro pouch if you've ordered one. So You'll still need your ID to pick up your bib, and you can still pick up your bib for a friend if you have a copy of their ID for them. So you'll have your ID ready to go. You'll show it to the worker or volunteer out your window, and we'll get you on your way. Once you've got your bib and race shirt and hydro pouch, you're free to leave and either go explore the park, go out to eat, get to your lodging, whatever you've got ahead of your day. But we also will have our merchandise tent set up. So after you get all of your items for the race, you'll be able to park if you want and just walk over to our merchandise tent. And you can shop all of our race gear. We've got shirts, hats, hoodies, stickers, all kinds of collectible things just for the Zion Half Marathon race. We've also got a sampling of outdoor element gear and glisten jewelry as well. That will be available both Friday and Saturday. They'll be set up in the same area as the parking lot when you show up, and they'll be there Saturday. So if you didn't get a chance to shop Friday, that'll still be there Saturday for you after the race.
So Anna, what if somebody wants to shop now or they want to shop after the race? Is that available as well? Do we have an online option?
Yes, we do. So you can shop online now. And then what we will do is after we've taken an inventory, when the race is all said and done, we will put any remaining things up online after the event too.
Great.
So if you go to vacationraces.com, we've got a link there. Or if you just type in store.vacationraces.com, you'll be able to shop all of our merch.
Awesome. So you get to still shop, but that's everybody's question. Is the race merchandise still going to be there? Because we know that you guys love your race merchandise. So it's still going to be there for you at this drive-through bib pickup. All right. Any other things on Friday, Anna, that we should hit on?
Yes, there is one more thing to mention. If you're coming from Vegas or anywhere in California, keep in mind that the time zones are different here in Southern Utah. We are an hour ahead of you. So if you're coming after work or just coming up, later in the day, keep that in mind. With our bib pickup ending at 7 p.m., that is mountain time. So keep that in mind with your travel plans and how you're planning your day out.
Great. So it looks like Friday is going to be pretty cut and dry. If you want to refer to your paper race guide or your digital race guide, it has all of the directions. And like Anna had mentioned, there's even links to Google Maps and things like that to help you find your way over there. But it's pretty straightforward and we'll get you through that drive-through really easily. And you can still shop at race merchandise. So that brings us to Saturday morning, race morning. So Dehn, I want to come back to you for a little bit and let's talk about what we can expect Saturday morning and how it's all going to unfold there at the start line.
The start line is going to be just right on that Smithsonian Butte Road, right there by where bib pickup is going to be on Friday. So there's a large open field that we're actually in the process right now of grading and turning into a parking area. Parking for the start line is going to be right there, the same place that bib pickup was on Friday. So Saturday morning, runners will drive to that same location. They'll park there in our parking area, and then the start line is just a short walk from the parking. We will have porta potties there at the start line, and as well as gear check and bib pickup. So if you weren't able to pick up your bib on Friday, we will have bib pickup Saturday morning. And then gear check, it's going to be cold that time of year up on the mesa before the sun comes up. The mornings will be chilly. So you'll want to wear some layers. You'll want to bundle up, but we'll have gear check. We'll provide you with a bag that you can dump in any articles of clothing that you want to shed before you start running. And you'll write your bib number on that bag, and then that bag will be waiting for you at the finish line. So that's what the start line is going to look like. We'll also have some bananas and some hot chocolate and coffee.
And so sorry, Dehn. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was thinking about the staggered start, and not everyone's going to be coming to the start line at the same time. Everybody has a predetermined staggered start time based on their bib.
Yeah, that's right. So if you look at page 3 of the race guide, it has a staggered start schedule. And so we've broken up the start based off of waves, and those waves are assigned based off of expected finish times that runners provided us with when they registered. If you look on page 3, you'll see that dark green will start at 6:45. They're actually going to get a little bit of an early start. Our dark green wave is people who might be pushing that 4-hour cutoff time. So we're going to get them out there on the course a little early. So they'd start at 6:45 a.m. And we show them that if they have a 6:45 a.m. start, then they should be out of their vehicles, ready to run, lined up by about 6:40 in order to do that, they should be parked no later than 6 a.m. And so we do that with each wave. We tell you what time you should be parked no later than. You're welcome to park earlier and just sit in your car and stay warm. But we have a time that you should be parked no later than, and then a time that you should kind of be all ready to go. If you need to get your bib, you should have your bib before the lineup time. So like for the orange wave, if they're starting at around 7:20, then they should be lined up, ready to go by about 7:05, and so on and so forth. So you can see the schedules in the race guide, but that's basically the formula that we're following. Once that our official start time is 7 a.m. So the blue wave, and that should include anybody who's competing for overall awards, will start at 7 a.m. That's our gun time. But once that first group starts, then the start line is just going to remain open for about the next hour. And so as people from these waves show up, and as they park, and as they get what they need, and they get ready to run, then the start line is going to be open for them. So we're not going to have like an official start every 10 minutes or so. It's going to just kind of keep rolling so that runners can keep crossing that start line. And we have a nice even flow of participants over the course of the morning.
So I have a question, Dehn, as far as awards go and how we're giving awards for this based on that staggered start time. Is it based on gun time for those overall awards, or is it something different this year?
Yeah, the overall, so overall male and female, we award top 5 male and female overall and top 5 male and female masters. Those awards are going to be based off of gun time. And so we start our blue wave, which is our fastest wave, at 7 a.m. So if you're competing for overall awards, then you should be in that first wave anyway. And if you're not assigned that wave for some reason, but you know you want to compete for overall awards, then you should plan to be there for a 7 a.m. start time so that you can compete for those, because they will be based off gun time. All other awards, all other age group awards will be based off of chip time.
Okay, makes sense. So that's very easy. So if you want to be competitive running in that for those overall awards, blue wave is the wave that you want to get in. Okay, so we're going to get everybody started and out on this amazing course. We're going to see the sunrise over West Temple and Zion. It's such a beautiful, as you drop down, you actually drop down quite far to get to Wire Mesa on this dirt road that you're going to start on. And you're going to have this beautiful panoramic view of that sun coming up over the West Temple of Zion before we get onto the loop that is what we call Wire Mesa. So Anna, take us through some of the course logistics as far as aid stations, and what are we going to see once we get out onto the course?
Initially, you will be starting out on a course. It's a dirt road, so it's double track wide. So it's going to be easy enough for those faster people to thin out. So it shouldn't be too crowded and congested on the trail right away, which is great. So those first few miles, it's all wide dirt roads, and from miles, I want to say mile 2 to 5, there's a pretty steep descent. So it's kind of fast early on, which is great. Again, it's an ability to thin out the crowds a little bit more. But right then and there, I wouldn't go too fast, because that's when the views just start to get really good and open up. You can see West Temple across the way. So, I mean, don't go so fast that you're going to miss all that, because that's a beautiful part of the course.
And Anna, I think this might be a good time to talk about the difference between trail running and the difference of road running. If you've never experienced a trail, which this is a perfect introduction to trail running, this is nothing that's overly technical or anything like that. It tends to be a slower pace anyway, correct?
Yes, exactly. I've found a love for trail running, one, because it's an excuse to slow down, but two, in addition to slowing down even more, I can stop and take a photo because I want to and I can. I worry much less about my pace and enjoy the trail that I'm on, because every trail you try out, it's just something new to learn and explore.
Yeah. And though we love to be competitive and things like that, just do keep in mind that this is more of a trail that slow down. Everyone's going to be slower. It's not just you that's going to be slower. Trails are just slower. So you're going to come down that big descent, and then we're going to, where are we hitting our aid stations? And what about gear drop? Do we have gear drop in those first few miles?
Yes. So typically we have a gear drop at about 3 miles, and that is the case for this race as well. So if you've got one extra layer or something you want to shed by mile 3, which mile 3 is when you start your descent down the hill toward Wire Mesa's trailhead. So it will be a loose clothing drop. So keep in mind, maybe not put your very most favorite sweater in there. We do our very best to get everything to the finish line and all laid out and organized. But if it's something you could not stand to part with, I'd recommend something a little bit more throwaway, so to speak. Again, we'll get that there. So in addition to your gear drop or your gear check bags that we'll bring to the finish line for you, we will just have an area where we lay out all of this loose clothing that you might discard near mile 3. So that will be easily visible, a bin to throw those things in. Other than that, we won't pick up anything else along the trail, so be aware of that. If you shed something, most likely it's up to you to go back and retrieve that.
Or it's going to end up in the garbage, and make sure
Yes.
it's at the gear drop, or you're not probably going to see it again. So
Right. So we will have aid stations near mile 3, which is that gear check or that gear drop place I mentioned. So mile 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 12. So a few of those might be close in between, but towards the end, you've got to kind of be a little bit more self-sustaining. Just because the nature of the course, it's this single track loop by the time you get to about just before mile 6. And so some of those areas might be a little bit hard to set up an aid station. So we want to make sure that you're carrying either a water bottle or a hydration pack, or at minimum a hydro pouch, so that you can refuel and get some more liquids in you at the right time.
So what are going to be the offerings at all the aid stations? What can we expect to see?
So at every aid station, we will have water, Gnarly Hydrate, which is our electrolyte drink that we provide, as well as honey stinger gels. Also at mile 10, we will have cut up bananas and oranges in addition to everything else.
So plenty of food for you to fuel and refuel with as you get to these different aid stations. So plenty of aid stations. Again, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 12 is where you're going to see those aid stations. Okay, Anna, so we know about all of our aid stations, and we're going to be able to refuel, and that's going to be great. But what about the terrain? This Wire Mesa, you talked about single track. Can you kind of explain what that's going to look like and what we can expect as far as underfoot? What shoes should I wear?
Yes, this is a trail race, but if you are brand new to trail running, or say you don't own trail running shoes specifically, you'll be absolutely fine running this course. I mentioned single track, and what that is just a narrower trail where 2 people wide in most cases couldn't fit. So you're going to either be in front of somebody or behind somebody. So talking about some trail etiquette here, if you're new to trail running, when you come to a single track situation, be mindful of when and how to pass somebody if you come up to that point. So be aware that there's, vegetation on the side, things like that. You obviously don't want to be running into cactus trying to quickly skirt around somebody. There is cactus on this trail. It's off to the edges, but be aware of that. You might be kicking rocks and whatnot. But overall, this trail is pretty runnable. It's not too technical in the sense that you'd be tripping on roots or anything like that, but there's a variation of some smooth paths, some gravelly bits, some slick rock, and some, ups and downs and weaves and so on. Slick rock is not slick. So it's actually very gritty. If you think of like a really gritty sandpaper, you're going to grip your shoes just fine. So do not be intimidated by the word slick rock. It's just a term, but it's essentially a rough sandstone that you're going to be running on.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. All right.
Yeah.
So
I was going to add too, Anna was mentioning that it's single track and there's some cactus and some plants and things. There's also that cryptobiotic soil, which is a big deal in the desert, right? It's like that crumbly dirt that's really satisfying to step on, but you shouldn't step on it because it takes like hundreds and thousands of years for it to develop. And it's like what keeps the desert from becoming just a big sandstorm. So stay on the track, don't step off for those kinds of reasons, for your own safety, and also preserve the area that we're running in.
let's talk about trail etiquette, because if I'm in a single file line, so what is the etiquette to pass? How do we handle each other when we're out there on this single track?
So first of all, if you are a person that does enjoy listening to something as you run, you've got some earbuds in or something, in a single track situation, it's a good idea to have one ear open to others, or two if you can stand not having music in the whole time. That way you can hear what's going on, you can communicate with other runners. So if you come up upon somebody First of all, you said, you don't have to greet them and give this big, long salutation.
Wait,
but
Anna, we shouldn't pat them in the bottom and say, hey, I'd like to pass.
Yeah, usually you probably don't know your fellow runner that well this early in the race.
Okay. All right.
So you're going to want to say, hey, I'm passing up on your left. So oftentimes, to simplify, you might just say on your left, and etiquette would be that slower runner in front would either slow down and kind of hug the right edge of the path as that person can scoot on by quickly. And if it's a group of you, it's also good etiquette to say, hey, there's a few of us just behind you. And if you're the last one to pass within the group, say, I'm the last one. Then people aren't just kind of waiting and worrying if they're holding up others behind them.
And a little bit of courtesy goes a long way on the trail. It really does, because nobody wants an elbow in their ribs as, the really fast runner wants to get back. But with the staggered start, you're going to be with people who are close to your pace. But you can expect to have a little bit of passing, but a little bit of courtesy goes a long way. So that's a good tip, Anna. I'm glad
Absolutely.
you did that.
So another thing with this wire mesa, you're going to kind of be weaving in and out of trees, kind of up toward the edge. You're going to have some really great views. You won't be, on the cliff. We aren't going to put you in danger, but there are definitely some outcropping sections where you're going to want to pause and take a photo looking towards Zion or looking across towards Smith Mesa. So keep that in mind, that your pace might ebb and flow depending on what you're looking at or the type of terrain that you're going to be weaving in and out of. Another thing to know is when you come up to enter this loop of the course, so it's about mile, I'd say 5.75, you're actually going to be passing by the finish line. So don't let that deter you too much. Just keep your head up and get excited, because this loop is definitely the best part of the course. You might see people talking or hear Colleen talking or see people there. Just get excited to run that part of the course. And then as you skirt around, between mile 12 and the finish line, that can be a tough time for your race. But the end is in sight. And in fact, the end is going to be in earshot even faster than you see it. So you might hear Colleen over the announcement, talking and cheering people on. And just keep in mind, you might be weaving toward the finish line, and then away from the finish line. Sooner or later, you're going to get there. So
yeah,
keep a good attitude.
We can see the runners from quite a ways out. And I noticed that at Trail Fest last year, because this was part of our Trail Fest for the Grand Circle Trail Fest last October. And I could see people and be like, oh, there they are. But it would take a minute before they would get around to actually being able to see them in person. So be patient on that. But we'll give you some great music and some fun things to listen to while I'm out there. I'll give you shout outs when I see the colors that you're wearing. So it'll be good. All right, Anna, anything else on the course before we throw it over to Dehn to kind of talk through finish line?
No, that's about it. I would, again, take your time. If you're new to trail running, this is a great entry-level trail. You're going to love it. You're going to have a blast, and you're going to see a lot of awesome things on the trail out there.
Yeah, just slow down and really take it all in, and you can still be competitive and still have a great trail run. So just sit back and enjoy it. It's a great thing. I love Wire Mesa. I mean, we've been out there many times, and it is just absolutely stunning. All right, Dehn. So they finally make it to the finish line, and they're going to get there in the finish line chute. What can we expect once we get there? There's some shuttles in order to get us back to the start line. Kind of walk us through that.
Well, they can expect you, Colleen,
yes,
to be there cheering for them and greeting them.
For sure.
And yeah, so the finish line is going to be right there actually at the trailhead of Wire Mesa. So there's big parking space that we're going to hijack and take over and use for our whole finish line. So we'll have our finish line arch set up, runner recovery area, chocolate milk, bananas, recovery food box, little snack box, and toilets and some water and gnarly there also. So, stay for a little while, get your legs, catch your breath, take some last pictures. We'll have some of our photo op signs down there that you might want to take pictures with, things like that. But then to avoid unnecessary congregating, we're going to ask you to just hit the road. The way that we're doing that, obviously the finish line is not the same place as the start line. So we're going to have to shuttle runners from the finish line back up to the start line. which is just a couple mile shuttle ride. So it's not long at all. What runners will do is they'll exit the finish area and they'll walk back down that really short, it's like a couple hundred yards down from the trailhead back out to that main road. And the main road is where shuttles will be picking up. So we've got a bunch of 15 passenger vans that are going to run runners back and forth. Masks will be required again on the shuttle. And the other thing that I would point out is, so those shuttles won't start running until 9 because they're going to be riding on the course. So on that main road. And so, to try and keep dust down and traffic at a minimum, we're not going to run them until 9 a.m. That should give most of our runners the chance to get down off that section of the course and onto the Wire Mesa Trail. If you're one of our last runners, or if you're maybe one of our slower runners, I like to say one of our runners that likes to take a lot of pictures, then you might have just a little bit of vehicle traffic for that, mile or two before you get down to Wire Mesa.
So what about my spectators, Dehn? My husband wants to come with me. My kids want to come with me. What can they expect? Is this, how friendly is this for spectators?
It's not terribly spectator friendly for a couple of reasons. We're concerned about unnecessary congregating, like I mentioned before, and spectators is one of the main culprits of unnecessary congregating. I mean, our spectators are important to us, but they're not essential. If I'm using the 2020, 2021 vernacular. So what we're asking is to really consider the need to have spectators there. How bad do you really want a spectator there? And who in your family do you love enough to invite to the finish line? And the ones that you don't, ask them to stay at the hotel. So,
they can just draw straws. They can, throw dice or something.
No, so it's not that spectators aren't allowed. We're just asking you to really consider the logistics of it and how important that is. Now, if your spectator is going to be at the finish line, which I'm expecting that we'll still have many of them, a couple of things that they'll need to know. One is that, again, those shuttles, we'll have a few shuttles that'll run from the parking area down to the finish. And then as shuttles go back and forth from the finish to the parking, they'll shuttle spectators as well. But again, those won't start until 9 a.m. And so there's a good chance that if your runner is faster or starts earlier, that you will miss their finish if you're waiting for the shuttle. The shuttle won't get you there in time. So you can either opt out of being at the finish line, or it's like Anna said, that section of road is where some of the best views are. So you could go for a morning walk and take that 2 to 3 mile walk down to the finish line, enjoy the views, and then you'd be there waiting for your runner when they finish. The second thing that we'd ask spectators to consider, instructions on how to download and use the RaceJoy app. In order for the RaceJoy app to work, it's a runner tracking app, but it tracks the runner by their GPS. So the runner has to download the app and turn it on when they start the race. And the spectator also has to download the app. But if they do that, then they can see where their runner is on course. And that way they're not getting down to the finish line an hour before they finish, right? They can say, oh, they're getting to mile 10. It's such a short shuttle ride down. I'm going to hop on now and I'll be down there when they finish, and then we'll leave. That way we avoid spectators being down there for, hours at a time and just adding to the congregation that we're trying to keep to a minimum.
Great. So spectators are allowed on the shuttles. Of course, remember, masks are required on the shuttles. But there are some other considerations as far as timing and stuff. And that RaceJoy app is just the way to go. The runner can start their RaceJoy app, and then a spectator is able to track them. It really is great. So more information on that, like Dehn said, is on page number 10 on that.
One thing I was going to add about the shuttles is that you'll remember Anna said that runners are going to run past the finish line to get onto the Wire Mesa Trail. And runners exiting the finish area are going to walk on that same little path back down to the shuttle. So there will be cross foot traffic. So a reminder to be considerate of the runners who are still on course completing their race, to yield to them and wait to cross lanes of traffic on that trail until runners have gone through, so you're not cutting them off or getting in their way. Especially as we get spectators, we finished our race, we're tired, our mind is not focused on other people still running the race, right? Like we kind of get in our own little world. or just ask everybody to remember that there is still runner traffic coming through there and they need to yield to that runner traffic.
Yeah, that again, a little courtesy goes a long way in all sorts of things in life. So we ask for that as well. What about awards? Anna, are we doing an award ceremony with COVID-19? We haven't seen as much, but what's our plan for this Zion Half Marathon 2021?
We will be having a limited awards ceremony, one part to avoid too much congregation, but also because we're doing such a spread out, staggered start, that really makes for a very finish time. So typically we will wait about 2 hours, 25 minutes after the race has started to do an award ceremony. But because our staggered start makes the runner pack spread out, it would just be a little bit too hard to gather everybody and make everybody gather for an award ceremony. So what we're going to do, we will be doing an in-person award ceremony for the top 5 male and female for overall and top 5 male and female for masters. And that's going to take place at about 9 a.m. just before those shuttles start running. So we estimate those runners would be finished by that time. We'll do a simple award ceremony there at the finish line and get them their award medals. And then they can get on their way. And then everyone else who got an award for an age group award, again, those are awarded male and female 5 deep. We will just be mailing those out to them.
Okay, great. So you'll get a little care package from Vacation Races if you got an award after that. Okay, so limited amount of award ceremony, but I'm excited to I'm just excited to be back to racing. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just excited. It feels like it's been a long time since our last event, and it's going to be good to be together with our Vacation Races family. So you're going to take those shuttles back up to the parking where you started. Race merchandise will still be set up. So if you wanted to do some shopping, that's still going to be up there. You can go visit Megan and get some fun souvenirs to take home with you. But kind of final thoughts, Dehn, what do we have here? We've got some other activities around Zion National Park, and we have this really cool Explorer Club that we're rolling out here. So tell us about that and how we can experience some other things and maybe earn some extra swag from Vacation Races.
Yeah, since Zion was the first race we ever did in 2013. And so we've had this program called Club Hikes. And so at each of our race locations, we designate certain hikes in the park and encourage runners to go do that hike after finishing the race, within 72 hours or the few days after the race. And that program has changed a little bit over the years. And in its most recent form, runners would take a picture at the summit of the hike and with their bib and their finisher medal and send it to us. And then we would send them like a little medallion. It looks like a survey marker that you see on the top of high peaks, stating the elevation and things like that. So the Club Hike program was kind of a way that we incentivize and encourage people to get out and explore the park. Make sure that race weekend didn't end at the finish line, but they went out and enjoyed all that the park has to offer. So we're actually sunsetting that program, the Club Hike and the medallions and everything. So you'll see it's information about the Club Hikes is still in the race guide, but we also have information about something called the Explorer Club. So we have the Zion Explorer Club. And this is a new thing that we kind of developed last year. And I think it's really cool. It's kind of the Vacation Races teams and local tourism boards and everything all chipped in and listed some of our favorite activities, places to eat, hikes, favorite vistas, views, educational activities, like volunteer activities, all different kinds of things that you can do in the park. And you can kind of customize it, right? Like if you've got 24 hours at Zion, or if you're there all week, you can cram as much or as little in as you want. And this is just kind of us cherry picking our favorite things to do and see. And so anyway, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt of activities, and each activity has a point value to it. And there's ways to like level up and, do it more extreme or whatever. And then there's a minimum point threshold. So if you can pick which activities you want to do, and they all have points. And then if you get the minimum point value, then you can redeem it for extra prizes. One of them being like this Zion Explorer Club wood badge. So Vacation Races help create the program, but it's actually hosted on an app called Spark Challenges. So Spark Challenges is an app that you can download from the App Store, from on an Apple device or on Android or any smart device, you can download Spark challenges, and it has lots of different challenges, not just Zion related, not just related to our race, but for this activity specifically, fulfillment is being hosted. So like you download the app, you say you want to do the Zion Explorer Club challenge, and then you can check off each activity you do, and it tallies the points for you, and then it gets reported to us so that then we can ship you your wood badge and whatnot. So that's all hosted in the app of Spark challenges.
Cool. That sounds really awesome. And there's so many different things that come along with that. With the club hike and trifecta activities, you were kind of limited to those 6 things or 5 or 6 things that we had. But this is going to have a lot more breadth to it as far as things that you can do depending on the kind of time you have. So make sure you download that Spark Challenges app. And yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and in fact, those hikes, like the club hikes and the trifecta, which was another challenge thing that we had, are activities that are listed on the Zion Explorer Club. They are activities that are listed in there, so you can do them as well, along with a whole bunch of other activities. And since we're sunsetting the club hike program and the trifecta program this year, as long as supplies last, like maybe we'll still be doing it next year, I don't know, but until we run out of all of our medallions and pins and everything, runners can actually double dip. So if you do the Zion Explorer Club and you check off all these activities and you complete, you get your minimum points and you get that wood badge. And if one of those activities is the double arch alcove up in Kolob Canyon, then you'll actually get that medallion also for that club hike. So you can double dip and just really load up on the swag this trip.
Oh, that sounds amazing. We know that our runners love their swag. So this is just another fun way that you can earn that swag. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I wanted to make one quick note about Zion Canyon. They're still working under COVID-19 protocols, and the shuttle system, which will be running at that time, they do require reservations for the shuttle. They do have a limited number of day of shuttle reservations, but they have a shuttle system to get you into the canyon. So if you are interested in getting in and really exploring Zion Canyon, you should navigate your way through the National Park website for Zion in order to make sure you have all the updated information as far as that goes, so that you'll know how to go and check it all out, because there are a few things that are different than maybe before when you were able to come and visit.
Yeah, and you can drive into the park, and there's like kind of in the main entrance to Zion, there's 2 ways you can go. One is to drive the scenic route up through Mount Carmel Tunnel over to Mount Carmel Junction. And there's some viewpoints and a couple small hikes off of that, but the main canyon of Zion at that race weekend will still be on a shuttle system. You won't be able to drive your car up and hike Angel's Landing. Like you'll have to take a shuttle from the visitor center. So yeah, be sure and plan accordingly. Think through how you want to spend your weekend and make sure you make those reservations on their park website. Yeah,
it's going to be great. This, the timing of this event is great. I love it in late February when we have this, and you can expect the temperatures to be cool if we do get some precipitation, which we haven't had a lot of lately. I'm here in southern Utah, right outside of Zion with Anna, and we haven't had a whole lot of precipitation lately, but we look forward to really good temperatures. It might be a cool start, but generally speaking, if the sun comes out, it's going to warm up really nicely. And yeah, it should be great. You will see some snow in the higher elevations of Zion. They've gotten some snow there, and you might see some snow on the Kolob Canyon side of things. But as far as where we're going to be, all things considered, Mother Nature cooperating, we should have some great trails and hopefully some southern Utah blue skies as well. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this up. That is our race guide for our Zion Half Marathon 2021. We're excited to have everybody back together, getting the band back together for 2021. And that is good for us because we want to see you. We miss you guys. We love producing these events for you. If you do have any questions, Most of them can be answered in the race guide. Do remember when you come on Friday to the drive-through packet pickup, we'll be able to answer any of your questions then as well. You can also always reach out to us through our website, vacationraces.com. You can reach out to us on social media, and we would love to help answer any of your questions. I love to go on and just see everybody talking about hotels and where they're staying, and everybody gets together. This is a great community who wants to help answer those questions for you. So reach out to us on social media. We have answers for your questions, and we want this to be an amazing event for you, and hopefully kicking off to a great 2021 for Vacation Races. So thanks for joining us today for our Zion Half Marathon race guide, and we will see you in just a few weeks at the start line. You've been listening to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast. We'd love your feedback. Email podcast@vacationraces.com with comments, concerns, or stories you'd love to share. Make sure to watch for more episodes coming soon to vacationraces.com. This episode was produced by Colleen Rue in the Festival Sound Studio. For information about music licensing, contact Dehn at vacationraces.com.